And that happens to a lot of people. They join the Sufi tariqah because they see the Sufis as being pious and humble and so forth and devoted to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And they join the tariqah and they do these acts of bid'ah inside the tariqah. But every tariqah that I've been able to study from their own sources, the actual tariqah, and those people who are the shuyukh or the leaders of the tariqah, who believe in the teachings of the tariqah, every Sufi tariqah I have found has had kufr in its teachings. Every one of them. Among the individuals who might belong to it, they might not have any kufr, and they just have small, or I shouldn't say small, but they have bid'ah related to, for example, some acts of dhikr and so forth. But if you study their teachings as a tariqah, you will find that every one of them has teachings that go against the Quran Sunnah to the point that it is kufr. For example, almost every tariqah believes in the octave or the people, the seven octave, or people who are ruling the world, and they think that nothing happens without their will. If you study the history of these tariqahs, you will find that they believe in that concept. Almost every tariqah believes that the awliya or the wala of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are better than the sahaba. Those people who they call the awliya after the time of the Prophet, these people are afdal or better than the sahaba. And all of these actions, all of these beliefs, go clearly against the Quran and Sunnah. Some of them are clear kufr and some of them are borderline kufr and not kufr. But unfortunately, among the people who join them, who are just impressed by their actions and their behavior and so forth, many of the people who join them may never have those beliefs. And they may not even realize that the tariqah that they join actually has those beliefs. And that's part of the problem that we have with the Sufis. That many times people join them and they don't even know what it is they're joining.
So, in dealing with those people, stray groups or people who make kufr by statements, and maybe the leadership reflects kufr in their AQEEDAH. Like when you're here in where we are, like practically the ones that are more dominant are the ones who had some kufr concepts. And come in contact with them, with the normal person. And like we discussed earlier about the discomfort that you have and the feeling, when you try to apply the Sunnah and then you see them like
lackadaisical.
Right.
Is there a question in there somewhere?
Yeah. I just want you to respond to that and how to deal with them.
By the way, I alluded to this early in the lecture. I want to just make this point again. That in some cases, not all cases, but in some cases there's a difference between kufr and kafir. In other words, someone could have a belief, as I mentioned in the beginning of the lecture, someone could have a belief or doing an action which is kufr, but he himself is not kafir. Because he may be doing it out of ignorance or based on some teachings that he received which are not correct, and he had no way of knowing that they're not correct. So there's a big difference between kufr and kafir. But at the same time, if we see kufr from someone, even though it may not make the person kafir himself, if we see kufr, or if we know that people are from the groups of innovation known as Ahl al-Bid'ah, then it's obligatory upon us not to have the same type of wala towards them that we have towards the believers that do not have those things. In other words, we know that someone is committing some kind of bid'ah. Our treatment of them is not the way we treat the believers, but it's somewhere between the way we treat other believers and the way we treat the kuffar, somewhere in between. And it depends on the situation of the Muslims, by the way. If the Muslims of Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah are strong and are able to put pressure on that person, for example, let's say that we have a mosque, the mosque is unified, the people are of good belief and they understand Islam, and someone tries to introduce some kind of bid'ah. It might be the case that all of the people or the mosque will agree to make hijrah from that person. Don't say salam to him, don't talk to him, don't do anything with him. If they're in a position of strength to do that, they can do that. Like what the Prophet ﷺ and his Sahaba did to Ka'b ibn Malik and the other two Sahaba who did not go to the Battle of Tabuk. They considered an act which is ma'asiyah. It wasn't bid'ah, but it was ma'asiyah or a sinful act. And this is how the Prophet ﷺ told the believers. They did not even make salam to him or have anything to do with Ka'b ibn Malik and the other two who did not make jihad. But if the position of the Muslims are weak, of the Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah is weak, then they have to see how they can deal with that bid'ah. For example, if someone comes from Ahl Bid'ah into a mosque where the believers are not very strong, they're not united in their AQEEDAH and so forth, and you try to put down that person harshly, for example, make hijrah from him, what you might do is split the mosque in two, and half that mosque might even join that person's bid'ah. So you have to look at the situation. You have to realize the situation and see that sometimes the best you can do is just warn people about the person's bid'ah and tell them, not to follow this is something wrong and so forth. And the other extreme is to actually put pressure, physical and economic and social pressure on the person. So it depends greatly upon the situation. I guess you can say it is a matter of ijtihad for the Muslim leadership and exactly how they should deal with it. But on a personal basis, if you know the person is committing sins or has some kind of bid'ah, you do not give him the same kind of wala that you give to the other believers. I think inshallah on that note,